Hey everyone, welcome back to another Ohio Tech Day TV show. We are celebrating technology in the great state of Ohio, and one way we're doing it is bringing voices of entrepreneurs, innovators, then sharing them with students all across the state. But Franco, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for hopping on. Where are we talking to you from today?
I'm from here in sunny Cleveland, Ohio, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like the great September time frame where, it's beautiful weather, not too hot, certainly not cold yet, and the leaves are starting to change a little bit.
Absolutely, I love it. I love it
Yeah.
here.
Well, so tell us about what you're doing right now, what your company is, what you founded, and what you're working on.
So we're making the next Band-Aid. There hasn't been a new Band-Aid come out in basically 2 decades, which is the time that I've been alive. So, um, and that makes millions of people, not just in America but worldwide, face amputation, worse sometimes, and even financial ruin. So it costs us, on average, about $4,000. This is not a joke. It costs us on average $4,000 to heal a wound in America right now. And if that wound does not see early enough care or gets infected, that cost goes up to $30,000. And
Wow.
we don't have that kind of money,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
How did you get into this space? What's your background?
So my first job ever was washing beakers in a lab that did this like really crazy stuff. It was cell therapy. So we would grab cells and use them to heal wounds and sometimes even like more advanced things like restoring vision of those to those who had lost it. And so that felt amazing. And I kind of went from there. I mean, I never stopped working in the lab. Every summer of my like high school and even when I went into college, I always tried working in the lab and I loved it. I mean, and then I got passionate about, it was awesome, but it cost $30,000. So how can we scale that, right? How can we make that the next level and be available to everyone?
And so, but your first job working in a lab, washing, cleaning beakers, was that intentional or was that luck where you just like saw the job, got the job, enjoyed it? Or were you like, hey, I want anything to do with this and I'll do whatever you want and I'll start washing stuff?
Yeah. When you're that age, nothing is fully one thing or the other. It's not
Right.
fully intentional. It's not fully, but so there was this program, so I grew up in Brazil. And in Brazil, there was this really cool program in my school where they would actually push you to get not necessarily work in a lab, but at least get scientific experience by trying the scientific method. So we would learn things as simple as what is a hypothesis and how to build a scientific project. What we'd have to make posters and present those in a scientific, in a little science fair, and that was huge for me because I learned how to pitch there, which was a skill that came in very handy later on in life, and I think that was awesome. That's big. The biggest thing is getting that experience and learning even like how to read a scientific paper.
So what was, you're doing this in high school, starting to develop this interest and this passion. What did your kind of post high school education training experience look like, and how did that continue to drive forward to where you are today?
So I, I was of the few students that took this science fair project and really, 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 really far. I mean, I was also of the few students. I mean, everyone around me was doing like a plant thing, right? Or learning if baking soda
Right.
does something, and
With like a
I,
Mentos, yeah,
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 exactly,
yeah,
and
right, right,
like
yeah, yeah. It's the
all
stuff you
power
remember,
to
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I was kind of doing. I mean, I really wanted to study stem cells because I saw this episode of The Flash that there was this guy who could duplicate himself. And so my sister and I see this and we're like, what's the lore behind this? And the lore was that there was like a stem cell, like some kind of really powerful cell that could basically duplicate him. And I liked the idea of that. And we have animals like, small lizards or axolotls that can do that. And I thought that was awesome. So that's why I got into cells. That's when I got into the science fair. I didn't want to do like a Mentos project. I wanted to do something real and serious. And so obviously I didn't have the infrastructure. Working in the lab gives you so much knowledge because you're near these incredibly intelligent and patient people who do this because they love it.
Hmm.
And so that really made a difference for me when I wanted to apply to college because no one had that experience. In fact, when you're a student, it's super powerful to just email someone, hey, my name is blank. I'm a student at blank, and
Yep.
I just want to learn. And I know that you probably get a lot of students, but if you have any extra time for me, and you just put in the work. So I put in the work. I got into Case Western Reserve University, studied biomedical engineering there, and then I wanted to continue doing it. And so I decided to find the best lab I could. I really did. I mean, I found the lab that did the first cell therapy in the world, and they actually named a stem cell here in Cleveland. And I thought, wow, that is really cool.
Hmm.
And I dedicated 4 years of my life, all like from freshman to senior year. I liked what I did, and I was an undergrad just doing it. I didn't even get paid to do it. I actually just did it for the love of the game, as they say. And that actually fueled and made me so different as a person that when it came time to start a business, it just felt natural.
Yeah. Well, one comment, and then I'll do a follow-on question, but the comment to your point on, people want to help students. And so there's an incredible power that students have where as soon as you graduate, it becomes a little more difficult to connect with people and especially business people or innovators in our cases. And so for students out there, use that to your advantage, because that's something that people love to give back, love to help students. Alumni networks, high school, college, they're incredibly powerful things.
It was probably my biggest secret hidden superpower. It's like the power that everyone has and no one knows how to use almost. And that's what makes you different sometimes, just knowing how to reach out.
Yeah. It's almost too easy that people don't think about it or think there's some like magic door they got to unlock. It's like, no, you have the email. You're a student. Just use it, go for it, and you'll be amazed at what happens.
Shoot them a phone call, shoot them an email. Yeah, that really, really worked for me. I can't lie.
Absolutely. So, you're graduating from Case Western. You have an incredible passion. What I presume you had a lot of different career paths that you could have continued to go down. And, folks in your field can do everything from continuing the research on college campuses to working for big biotech companies. But you've decided to become an entrepreneur and to build something new. To go from 0 to 1 and build something from scratch. What was the passion there? How did that come about?
To be fair, I started my business when I was in college. I was like sophomore year. So by the time I was graduating, I didn't have any money to make like a salary from it, but I knew that it had at least like snowballed into. And this is an outlier. I'm not saying anyone. I mean, it's not normal, but we snowballed into like $1 million in grants that we just gotten. And so it almost, I didn't want to stop there. So, I mean, I had a few job opportunities, job offers. I had a fellowship that was going to pay me $100,000 to drop out of college and move to San Francisco. So I had a lot of options through this entrepreneurial journey, which honestly, I kind of did as a means to an end. It just felt like no lab was doing the kind of level of work that I felt needed to be done, with the focus on like manufacturability and scalability and just commercialization. And I almost felt like the academic route was too far removed from like translation, from like actually reaching the real world. But then corporations, I had this professor who worked for a big corporation he was an inventor. He did billion-dollar inventions and only got a pat in the back and $500. But he stayed through that. I mean, he stayed in that business for the rest of his life, and it was the only company he ever worked for, and he loved it, and he was happy. And I was kind of sitting between, well, do I want to go to academia? Do I want to go to business? In my case, I had the opportunity to give myself 6 months. From some of the bartending I did in consulting, actually I did in college, I managed to survive 6 months. I said, let's give this business 6 months. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll go find a job. And it worked. We raised about $2 million in venture capital, and that fueled 2 products. One of them actually is now in the market. It's launched, and we call it like the next Neosporin. It's called Poseidon. And so I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's really about building valuable experience in a field that you actually care about, and doing something that you can grow within.
Mm-hmm.
But it's doing what makes you happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And going after something, in your case, solving some problems that you saw out there that you didn't think were being tackled in quite the right manner. And so for maybe students watching, thinking, wondering if, innovation careers, and that's something that can be very, very broad. And we like to say every company is a tech company. So you can do it in life sciences and biotech. You can do it in, traditional kind of software where you're working with other businesses. You can do it. We've talked with restaurateurs and people that have food operations that are using innovation to kind of scale their business and take it beyond just their one mom and pop shop. But what would your message be as a young professional, a young, recent college graduate that is giving this a go and building an incredible business right here in Ohio, but for other students that are maybe considering what they might want to do in their career path and maybe have an itch to do some stuff in science?
Meet as many people as you humanly can. Meet people, and I often hear that people they struggle, and I've struggled myself with going out and just like introducing yourself to some random person, either on LinkedIn or on a conference. And the most powerful thing you can ever say is be honest and say, hi, I am trying to meet as many people as I humanly can. I'm trying to learn as much as I humanly can. And that like just knowing, trying to find those figures that you really want to be more alike to, right? I mean, I started on a path because I wanted to be similar to one of my mentors who was my boss at the lab. And I thought she was the coolest person in the world. And I was like, if I could only be a little bit more like her, I feel like, I'd be very well off. And then I found the next person that it was the same thing. They created the first cell therapy in the world. And so every person is a world because we grab little bits and pieces from the universe around us and kind of craft it into what we are. So meet as many people as you can. And usually I'd advise, this is somewhat contrarian, but I would always advise to do things that make sense for you, that you want to do, that you like to do. Don't try to settle for less just because,
Yeah. And so what's the next 2, 5, 10 years look like for you and your journey?
Well, we just launched. We actually are also officially cleared to sell like on the federal facilities like VA and things like that. So we're trying to heal as many wounds as we humanly can right now. That's our target. And we're in a really, really big project to kind of bring up biomanufacturing in the U.S., like revitalize American biomanufacturing. So I think my biggest goal right now is I think we just like are in the phase of proving the concept, and it's working really, really well. We've healed over 50 wounds across the state, like of just, in small evaluations or clinical trials right before our launch. So I think the next step is going to be, how can we get this to as many human beings out there as possible?
Yeah, I love it. Building it from Cleveland, Ohio, and scaling it across the globe to help people in a real way. So Franco, love what you're building. Thank you so much for joining us to share a bit of your story for Ohio Tech Day. Everyone, listening and watching, I think a ton of great insight and inspiration for you to take back and to consider. But again, Franco, thanks so much for joining us. And we really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
It's a pleasure. Go build.
Go build. Love it. All right.